What's going on, Sifu disciples and practitioners? If you're watching this, you're probably wondering one of two things. One, why is my audio quality not the greatest? I don't really have a mic per se. I'm talking directly into the controller, so forgive me if things kind of cut out a little bit, during the action. The other question is going to be, well, what is Grandmaster difficulty? And, long story short, Grandmaster difficulty is playing the game on the highest difficulty, which is master difficulty, and then including the two main modifiers, stronger enemies plus unlimited threats. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how that's become, for lack of a better phrase, how that's become kind of the de facto Grandmaster, why different players agree with that and have adapted it, and have a brief discussion as to why other modifiers that make the game more difficult aren't necessarily good for an evolution of the difficulty in the game. So currently I have the game set to its highest difficulty, which is Master. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stand there and let them all come to me, and we'll evaluate together how aggressive they are.
This place will crush you.
As you can see, they're kind of taking their sweet time. Well, relatively speaking, I guess. So next up, I'm going to do that exact same thing, but I have stronger enemies plus unlimited threats on, aka this game is set to Grandmaster.
All right, let's go. Insane. Not so tough after all.
So, I mean, if you haven't seen it already, this is kind of crazy. And yeah, that's the beauty of unlimited threats. Not to mention, stronger enemies. So everyone has more health. They have tougher move sets. But I mean, as crazy as it looks, if you know how to crowd control, if you know how to handle really intense situations, this is kind of a blast. And the most important thing is that it feels fair. I think the key reason why players like myself gravitated towards this combination of modifiers is because compared to everything else, this feels the truest to the experience of the game. The best analogy I can come up with is playing on Expert in Rock Band. I think the intended difficulty in Expert might be somewhere between medium or hard. Usually in games like that, it's medium. But if you want to maximize, if you want to be on your toes the entire time, if you want to be on your your P's and Q's, you play on Expert. And so for players like myself, this feels like playing on Expert in Sifu, essentially. Whereas other modifiers like invisible enemies, barehanded or 4x damage, faster attacks, those things kind of stray a little too far away from how the game feels intended wise. Whereas this feels like an advancement on the intention of the experience of Sifu. So, how did we settle on calling it Grandmaster? Well, the answer is pretty simple. For many months, I had been uploading content involving Sifu arenas with the inclusion of the modifiers stronger enemies plus unlimited threats. And I've always wanted a way to simplify it. And in my head, I wish I could have called it Grandmaster. Well, a few weeks ago, I finally proposed this idea to other players like One Man Army and Show, and they all agreed that they'd kind of been wanting to do the same thing. We're not necessarily calling ourselves Grandmasters. Like, I refuse to flex. It's not a flex. It's basically, you know, if you're playing on Master, you don't necessarily need to deem yourself a master in the game. You're just playing on that difficulty. If you're playing on an expert in Rock Band or Guitar Hero, you don't necessarily need to think that you're an expert to play on the difficulty. So that's how I kind of got over that feeling of, oh, I don't want people to think I'm flexing, that kind of thing. So the final thing I want to talk about with Grandmaster is caution. If it hasn't been clear so far, this is really fucking hard. There are certain sections of the game that are basically impossible on this difficulty, unless you're using some other kind of mod or you're just, ultra instinct. But yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. You're gonna die a lot, and that's okay. I mean, if you are playing Sifu as much as I hope you are, you should be accustomed to dying a lot. So, but yeah, Grandmaster can kind of be whatever you make it, whatever is the most fun for you. Maybe taking off stronger enemies or taking off unlimited threats. I highly recommend finding that balance. Like for me, this is the balance. I dabble with infinite structure sometimes, but that's not a version of Grandmaster that I find more fun. It's just more of a challenge for myself. So the most important thing is to have fun and hey, wish me luck.